Welcome to Trending Niches, episode number 80. In these videos, Professor Dr. Milo helps me find trending print-on-demand niches on both Amazon and Etsy. But before we jump into some trends that you can actually target, let me show you some niches to avoid. So the first one right here is Life Gave Me Lemons, but Jesus, he be making lemonade. And this is a pretty new trend. As you can see, most of these published less than a week ago, a bunch of good BSRs, but a simple Google search reveals that this is from a song that recently came out. You can see right here, this is an exact match in the lyrics, so I would definitely avoid this. Another huge trend right now that just started to blow up, but you should definitely avoid as well, is lizard, lizard, lizard. That seems to be commonly associated with this face right here, and there's tons of designs posted less than a week ago that are selling really well on Amazon. But if we search this on Google, you will find that it's related to a Disney movie, or at least it seems to be featuring in a trailer right here. I don't know if it's come out yet. Either way, this is where the face stems from, and if it's that closely related to a Disney movie, then you're definitely risking your account by uploading this kind of design. More generic lizard designs, like some of the ones you can see right here, probably fine, but even with those right now, I would be slightly careful because they probably review them more closely whilst this movie is just trending. Another recent trend to avoid because of music lyrics is If I Ever Get Rabies, You're High on My Biting List. This started doing really well recently, but there's also a very recent song right here by Tyler Childers, and you can see You're High on My Biting List is one of the most prominent lyrics, and that's probably also why those shirts started selling. And the last trending niche to avoid before we get into some that you can actually target is Speedway Slammer. As far as I understand, this is a similar trend to the recent Alligator Alcatraz one. It's controversial, it's politics related, and the Alligator Alcatraz one got pulled after just a few days, and then designs got rejected. So I would just avoid this. These have already been up for about a week, so they're about to be pulled down, and if you upload something new, probably cause a rejection. The first trending niche Professor Dr. Milo found for you is Fragile. I just dropped my daughter off at college. And there is also one design that I can see that says I dropped my son off at college, but the majority of them do seem to say daughter. There is a ton of these that are posted just 10 days ago or less and selling really well. For example, the bestseller has a 64k BSR, the next one 83k BSR. Really, really good for such recently posted listings. And there's not a ton of variety in terms of the design styles and colors being used right here. Everything is pretty much black and white with some red elements or perhaps pink, like these ones right here that look a bit more feminine. But besides that, not a ton of variety. You have to scroll down quite a while to see any different color schemes right here, but definitely a ton of demand, as you can see by all of these BSR ranks that are pretty low. I was also wondering if this is doing well on Etsy, and I'm testing a new research tool right now. It's called Profit Tree, and it's pretty cool because if you type this search term into it, it gives you a demand bracket right here that shows the badges on Etsy. So in 20 plus cards right here for the number one ranked one that's indexed in Profit Tree. That's a pretty cool feature that you don't have inside of Everbee, for example. And if we now click on this right here to open it up on Etsy, it does say in 20 plus baskets. Now, I have found with using Profit Tree that this text doesn't always match what's inside of the research tool, but that's very understandable because this text changes on like multiple times a day on like an hourly basis, I think. Whilst I'm doing my research, I noticed that happens quite a lot. So it's not always going to be exactly the same as what's indexed in here, but either way, it will give you an indicator of how well a niche is doing. You also have the monthly sales bracket estimate, the monthly revenue, and a niche score, which is pretty cool. So anything with a score of 90 plus is worth getting in. So this one literally has a perfect score right here. 70 to 90 is easy to succeed. So that's a pretty cool feature as well, that whatever you type in right here at the top, it gives you an indicator for the potential or whether you should get into that niche or not. Now, just out of curiosity, I also went to Everbee to see what they have indexed if I type in this niche right here. And there does seem to be a few more listings that show up, but none of these have any sales or revenue indexed yet. So Everbee seems to be a little bit behind on this trend where Profit Tree already has some demand indicators indexed, which is a pretty interesting comparison, I think. And whilst they do have this growth rate feature, they don't have the demand badges right here showing on their research tool. Moving on to trending niche number 2, and that is probably the biggest trend right now on Amazon. It is back to school. This comes as no surprise. In August, this is one of the biggest niches out there, and it's doing extremely well on Amazon. As you can see, we've got a 25k BSR right here for the bestseller in flying research, and then 40k, 45, 47, 56, 57. There's so many of these doing super well and absolutely crushing it, and they're not all established designs. If you look at some of these published dates right here, this one's published 49 days ago, this one 24 days ago, this one 83, the one with the Silly Goose Teacher Club right here published just 43 days ago. So yeah, this trend definitely in full swing. It has a ton of different sub niches and variety, and it always starts to trend during July and then sees its peak throughout August. And also take a look at this niche and find inspiration for next year. You could already get ready right now based on what you see working in 2025 and upload some designs if you have some free slots that work for the next year to come. If we look at Profitry again and actually type in back to school shirt in this case, you can see this gets a niche score of 96, which is really, really high. They also show the monthly revenue for the entire niche, which is pretty interesting. Percentage of listings with ads, 30% bestsellers. Okay. And here I think you can see how valuable this demand bracket is that they have. You can see this one sold 36 times in the past 24 hours. I think that's actually a digital download right there. So what I can do in that case is I can click on filters, scroll all the way down, go to listing type and change this to physical. That way, if you're not looking at digital download products, you can filter those out. You can also, by the way, at the top, just filter the ones that have a specific badge, like in 20 plus cards or popular in the past 24 hours. So if I take this, for example, and hit search, then you'll only see the ones right here that have these 26 sold, 10 sold, 17 sold in the past 24 hours. Really, really amazing feature. And that all goes along with these monthly estimated sales and revenue. Another reason why I think Profitry is pretty cool and a pretty interesting alternative to Everbee is because all the features you're seeing here are inside of a lifetime one-off fee. So I don't have the full version of it. I just have the, I think it's $70 or $60 version that you pay once, and then you have access to all of these research features right here, along with tracking your profit and tracking your ads, for example, which is quite difficult with Etsy. That's all built into a one-off lifetime fee now with this research thing as well, which is pretty amazing. So I think this is definitely an interesting option to try out if you're looking for an Etsy research tool. And you can also sort this right here by different columns. So if you want to have the highest monthly revenue at the top, you can do that. If you want to sort it by price or by monthly sales instead, or maybe by the listing age, right? Maybe you just want to see the lowest listing ages right now. If you click on this twice right here, that have these high demand badges, which is another pretty interesting way to sort this. So you can see what's been recently added to the niche that already has one of these badges right here of say 6 or 10 sold in the past 24 hours. Next up, we've got a bit of a smaller trend right here, but this one might be flying under the radar, so I still wanted to mention it. So this is My Dad Gets Mad at Me, but I'm literally him as a girl. And you can see a bunch of listings right here indexed and flying research that say published 5 days ago, 7 days ago. This one just 3 days ago right here, and it's already got a BSR. So definitely some demand right now, probably lower competition than some of the other trends I just showed you, but it's not huge demand. So the bestseller right here currently has a 290k BSR, then we have 400k, 480, 600. So nothing crazy, but probably a little bit easier to get a sale than perhaps in the back to school niche without ads. On Profitry, when I type this in, there's only one listing index, so there's probably not that many in Etsy yet either. And this says in 6 carts as well, so it does have a demand badge already, which is definitely a good sign. Trending niche number 4 is perhaps a bit of an evolution of the cat selfie niche, and it is smoking cats, or mostly kind of photo-esque looking, probably AI generated photos of smoking cats. I think these are probably kids memes. I can't really see another reason why these are so popular, but at the same time, you have to be careful if you upload something that has smoking in the graphic or in the listings and you enable kids sizing, then they'll get rejected on Amazon. So be careful with that. But these are all selling, as far as I can tell, like I checked some of these are all selling for adult sizes. So they don't have kids enabled, but they're still selling. But anyway, so 120k BSR for the top seller, published 29 days ago. Most of these are very recent. This one is 16 days, 15 days old right here with the 300k and 400k BSR. These are mostly photos. Maybe they will also work in different styles, right? Perhaps you can try out the bootleg style or something like that. Maybe the one color illustration style could work. But yeah, for some reason, smoking cats or what looks to be like smoking cat selfies or photos seems to be doing well on Amazon. If we go to Etsy right here with Profitry, you can see there's also quite a lot of these selling. 60 estimated monthly sales and nearly $1,000 right here in revenue. And we've got some of the badges of in 20 plus cats, 2 sold in the past 24 hours. There's a bunch of these that are getting sales. It's getting a niche score of 100. By the way, Profitry will be linked in the description if you're interested in their lifetime deal. And I've also heard they're working on a Chrome extension. I think that's what Etsy Radar stands for. So they want to have an extension kind of like Everbee that gives you additional statistics on the actual search pages on Etsy. Additionally, where this tool really shines, I think, is if you type in shirt up here. So you go very broad and then you use some of the filters. For example, if we once again enable physical listing type down here, you can also filter out bestsellers or Etsy's picks if you want to, but we could do, for example, just the popular in the past 24-hour badges. We could then select the listing age of just maximum 1 month. And now if you hit search on this, you have all the recently posted listings that are in high demand right now, clearly indicated by the badges, and you can see the estimated sales right here. So this is a great way to kind of explore the most popular shirts right now on Etsy and find some of the hottest niches. And another trend I've got for you is cousin shirts. So this is doing extremely well on Etsy right now. Most of these saying something along the lines of cousin crew, crazy cousin club right here. The top seller actually says cousin camp 2025. This is the top seller based on monthly sales numbers. And they do all have really good demand badges, like 20 sold in the past 24 hours, lots of in 20 plus cats as well. So there's definitely a bunch of demand right now for this. On the Amazon side of things, the BSRs aren't too crazy, to be honest. The best one that I can find is 220k, but there is a bunch of listings that are selling with a stable BSR, and most of these also have a lower BSR than their 30-day average. So this one, for example, had an average BSR or has an average BSR of 355, but right now is sitting at 231k BSR. So right now, this niche is definitely outperforming its average. So let's take a look at the archive feature inside of Flying Research to figure out what's going to sell in November. So I've entered the 15th of November, 2024 right here, meaning this is what was selling the best last year at that date. You can see the historic BSR at the top. So this is what the BSR was back then, and the current BSR down here as usual. I think very clearly one of the first patterns is there was a lot of Thanksgiving designs doing really well. That's no surprise with Thanksgiving being at the end of November. So right here, lots of turkey designs at the top, some being mixed with baseball. So cross niching, always a good idea for Thanksgiving. Then we have a bunch of political stuff. This was, I think, just after the election finished, so that's to be expected. But can we find any other trends besides Thanksgiving and politics? Here we've got a hockey design. Whilst I don't agree with the straight outer style because it's very reminiscent of a TV show, this does indicate that there is probably some sort of hockey season or popular hockey event perhaps that drove a lot of sales. I'll keep an eye out if there's any others related to hockey that might prove that point. We have some Christmas designs right here already showing up with a 28k BSR, which for the middle of November is pretty crazy considering Christmas is still over a month away. But it's no surprise if you've been doing print on demand for a while, you will know that Christmas shirts or the Christmas rush to buy gifts for loved ones starts really, really early. Here's a Christmas pajama shirt. Here's another Christmas themed one. So this is definitely a trend in November as well. Here we have kind of an ugly Christmas sweater style, but this one is for Thanksgiving, which is an interesting cross niche example that I can't remember seeing in the past. But yeah, so ugly Christmas sweaters are really popular and seem to also work for Thanksgiving. Whilst there's mostly designs with turkeys right here, you will also get a bunch of Nomi designs or gnome designs selling well for Thanksgiving. This is kind of a popular theme or style that works across multiple holidays or seasonal trends anyway, so don't disregard that. Would be careful with a green graphic right here on your coffee mug that looks similar to Starbucks. I wouldn't do that personally, but of course drinking a coffee or a pumpkin spice latte or something like that shouldn't be an issue. It's just the logo that makes this problematic in my opinion. Now, I have seen quite a bunch of anime designs at this point, which I don't really think is necessarily a trend for November. It's probably, just a strong evergreen niche that does really well in the lead up to Christmas shopping. But yeah, besides that, I can't really see any other patterns. We've got a baseball design right here, 87 kBSR, but again, that is an evergreen topic. I think overall, it's very clear that in the middle of November, you're going to get a ton of Thanksgiving and Christmas related sales, along with some of the strong evergreen niches doing extremely well and dropping in BSR. And if you want to learn how to use the new Kittle flows feature effectively for print on demand, check out this video next for a full workflow and a free template.